Shall I sit closer so you can see me better? Hi. I'm doing a video because I haven't been doing videos as often as I had wished to, and that's okay. But there's a specific reason I wanted to do a video today that is relative to questions that have come up during lessons. And that is the problem of the hi-hat stand and how it's an enigma to so many people. So what I've discovered is the vast majority of drummers who are starting out, they've never experienced taking their kit apart. It's probably put together for them the first time they get it, either by a loving parent who provided it for them, or a music teacher. Their drum teacher might do it for them. A store that sold them the kit, if they shopped local, might assemble it for them. But the assembly of a drum kit can be tricky, and there's evidence of this all over the second-hand market, where you see people trying to photograph their second-hand kits for sale, and the varying attempts at setting up a drum kit by people who clearly have never set up a drum kit before can sometimes be horrifying, but quite often is just hilarious. So that being said, the drum kit being something that is difficult to figure out for someone who maybe hasn't been around it all that much, I don't think there's one right way to do it, but there's a whole lot of wrong ways to do it. And every drummer is a different size and shape, and every drummer has different preferences. And we could talk at length about all the different things that I've come across that turn into bad habits for new drummers. One is that they're not actually facing the drum kit, that the bass drum is right in front of them where it should be. Their snare drum is drifted off to the left, and their hi-hat is at like a right angle to the rest of the kit. So their body is now facing 30 degrees to 45 degrees away from where it should be. And the floor tom ends up kind of behind them, which is not beneficial. The issue at hand today, though, is the hi-hat stand, and more specifically, the hi-hat clutch. So I'm going to grab one because I'm so organized. And what I've got here is the top of my hi-hat stand, or the top symbol for my hi-hat stand, and the bit that attaches to it is called the clutch. So before this, a clutch would have been, to me, a part of my car, and it has some similarities in function to a clutch on a car, but what will happen with the clutch is what I've just done, is it will let go of the symbol and it will come apart, and then you'll be left with all these little bits and pieces, probably in random order because you haven't taken note of what order they came apart in, and you're in grave danger of now losing parts that maybe you really need. So I'm just fully taking this apart, and we'll talk about the individual bits, and then we'll put it back together. And I honestly dropped it, have been asked so many times about this that I genuinely believe this is something that people are going to need to see, right? So I'm going to just come to the camera. I don't know, autofocus is probably off, but there's lots of little bits in this, you know, lots of stuff that gets sucked up by your Hoover. This is I hadn't planned on moving this camera, so maybe autofocus is going to be all over the place, but I've moved it now because I want to stand up. Okay, so this is the central part, focus. And this is all apart right now. So I'm going to start by putting the top end of this back together. So you're going to have a screw with a hole in the back of it. I don't know how out of focus this is going to be. And I'm going to pop that in to its position, just like so. Autofocus. See if that works. Okay, here's the screw, and it just pops into the top. And then there's a little metal washer that will pop on over that, and then a tightener that will screw down on that. And in essence, what that's going to do is that's going to allow the clutch to grab onto the truss rod, which is the rod that pops up out of the top of the hi-hat stand, and it connects clutch and therefore hi-hat to the truss rod, and when I push down on the pedal it will pull down on the cymbal. That makes perfect sense, I'm sure. Okay, so now what I've got left is a felt, which is just a piece of material that they call felt because it's made out of felt. A second felt, mine is squashed into oblivion, but it's still good. Felts are important because you don't want the cymbal metal touching off of your clutch metal. Metal on metal, bad time, okay? Then I've got a screw, a second screw, and a big screw. Now, this is the way I do it. I'm not saying this is 100% the right way, but this way works, okay? I've got all my screws off, and I've got a big thread here. I'm gonna put on my two smaller screws. First one with the thinner part of it facing upwards. And I'm gonna thread that down to about there. My second screw, it's exactly the same as that, but the thin part is now gonna face down, is gonna thread down onto that. And what those two are gonna do is they're gonna lock together. All right, so when I tighten that, they won't move now, not too easily. So that provides a base for which to put my first felt on. Felt goes on. And if you treat your felts like bread of a sandwich and your cymbal like the ham, you're gonna have felt, cymbal, and second felt. That protects the metal from hitting off of the other metal. Metal on metal is bad. And then our big screw will go on the back of the second felt and can tighten down. And there you have an assembled clutch. Now, once that's done, let me just pan you down a little. This is going to be a focus nightmare, I'm sorry. Okie dokie. Once I have this put together, I can then let my clutch slide down onto the truss rod. This is the rod that runs the length of the hi-hat stand and is actually controlled by the pedal on the ground, okay? Now, a mistake an awful lot of drummers will make is they'll push down on their pedal, they'll tighten their clutch, and then when they lift their foot, their hi-hat stand opens way too big, and I call that the bite. The bite is way too big. So there's two things you can do. You can control how much you press the pedal, just press it a tiny amount, and then tighten your clutch, and then when you open it, it's going to open a reasonable amount. If you're finding it hard to finesse that pedal to the right depth, you can just push down on your truss rod, and I'm talking like 0.5 centimeter to 1 centimeter. That's it. That's all it needs. And then when you let go, the cymbal will have held onto the truss rod at the right point. Okay, and that's it. That's as complicated and as simple as it can be or needs to be or is. The hi-hat clutch will rattle itself apart on you, especially on the beginner kits, that have cheaper clutches. Now, some of those clutches won't have all of the screws that I have. It won't have two at the top that you can tighten together to stop any movement. You'll probably just have one at the bottom, maybe one at the top and one at the bottom. And with play, that's going to vibrate loose. So just get some insulating tape and wrap it around the treads at the top and wrap it around the treads at the bottom. And that will act as a tread lock that will stop those screws coming loose, and your clutch will hold tighter for longer and cause you less hassle. Okay, so I hope that was helpful. I'm probably going to edit this poorly, but I've decided that editing is for schmucks. Can I say that? Is that a bad word? No, people say that on TV all the time. I'm gonna use it. Editing is not for me. I'm not good at it. I don't do a fancy edit, and the cost for effort ratio is not good. So I'm just gonna upload close to raw footage and keep the mistakes in. So I hope that was helpful to you. Let me know if it was, because that is the motivation that I need to do stuff like this more often. Thank you for watching, and I should have panned the camera up. I'll see you guys next time I get an idea to do a video. Thanks for watching. See you later.